It's Yvonne Elliman, and my guest of the day, Zubin Balaporia, tells me that it's perhaps off the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack, though the compilation album is called Disco Fever. We're leading up to 9 o'clock, streaming audio online all over the nation, www.onecast.in, numeral 1cst.in, 94.3 on the FM band on your radio sets right here in Mumbai City. Only if you're not driving. Statutory warning, we're streaming Facebook Live, radio1.mum. Also, you know the Twitter, Insta handles. Composer, keyboard player, member of Indus Creed is in studio.
94.3.
This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
Hi man, always wonderful to see you. How are you doing?
Hey Hrishi, I'm good and thank you for having me here again.
Well, apologies are in order because you should have been here sooner, but then it's the festive season and we've got a whole slew of guests coming in. But better late than never. It is a photography exhibition called Blessed by Light at the Barrow, which is in Lower Parel, Sunmill compound, right?
That's right.
Yeah. And it's on still till the 14th, and it's 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Now, you would have always thought of Zubin as just a keyboard player, a virtuoso musician, but Blessed by Light says it all, doesn't it? Light has always fascinated you, apart from sound.
Oh yeah, so a lot of people have actually asked me what's the connection between music and photography. And I always say that I've always actually looked at music visually. So now why not look at photography from a sound perspective? Because you really, at least what I want to do with my photography and the photographs that I take, I'd like the viewer to be transported to the place where I took the photograph. And so I really believe that aside from just seeing the photograph, you should feel the photograph. You should breathe the air. You should be hearing the sounds around it. And if I can do that, I think it's mission accomplished.
It's interesting you would say that because our mutual friend Charu sent me a write-up which talked about how when you first went to Auschwitz in Poland during the concentration camps, and then eventually I see it in your work, even in the sacred monasteries of Ladakh and Bhutan.
Right.
Those places are actually lit in peculiar ways. The light actually just filters in through a few prison bars or a few cracks in the stone, and they make for fascinating photographs.
Yes, absolutely. I think you've got that spot on in the sense that when you're visiting places like this, you're always looking for an interesting play of light. Of course, you're looking for an interesting subject too. And when the both are married, I think you just get an opportunity to take a great photograph. But you can't sit at Pedder Road and shoot great photographs. You got to get out and get your hands dirty, feet wet, or whatever, the other way around.
And it all does start with the travel, isn't it? I mean, I envy guys like Ram Sampath and you who spend, 200 some days making jingles, composing music, and then get away for the vital 30-35. And you've been doing that consistently, Zubin.
Yes, I think since about 2013, I've been traveling really quite a bit to the point where now when people want to do a recording or contact me, the first message is, are you in town? Or how's Siberia? Are you back from the Amazon? So it's quite funny. Most people think I've relocated to some strange and bizarre place. So yes, I have been doing a lot of traveling, and because of photography, it's become that much more interesting. In any case, with the band, we always had the opportunity to travel a lot within India.
Yeah.
But I've tried to push that and, do some exciting things.
I'm going to just round up the monastery series before we move ahead. I mean, there are different kinds of monks, and you've actually detailed it in a brochure that you've sent me, where you talk about the monks in Cambodia even attired differently than the ones in Bhutan or Ladakh. The age of the monks, and you've captured all of them at different ages. One of them is actually looking as though he's running away, and you did follow him.
Yes, I did. So that was in Siem Reap in Angkor Wat. And we were there with a group of friends, and this particular monk was conducting a puja somewhere. Well, I don't know if it's called a puja, but there was some kind of a little ceremony, like a ritual. And then after he finished, I think he was late, and he was in this labyrinth of, passageways. And he just gathered his stuff and he began running, or actually scurrying is the right word. And I was scampering after him, trying to shoot him and I think I managed to get him in a very interesting, almost contorted image of him as he was dashing through one passage. And again, as you mentioned, nice play of light through cracks in the wall. And so I called him the Scurry Monk.
Nice one. Fleetwood Mac, Little Lies, back in a couple of minutes with Zubin Balaporia. Fleetwood Mac, Little Lies, part of the reason why Zubin Balaporia is here is because I'm a huge Indus Creed fan. Before that, Rock Machine. But that is not the entire reason he's here. It's because his photographs are absolutely stunning. I mean, just to give you a visual insight, if you're streaming some live video, this is Blessed by the Light. And this wonderful animal series, starting with elephants and going on to ponies and horses. More conversation with him. The photography exhibition is at the Baro, B-A-R-O, at Lower Parel. You'll be able to Google map it in Sunmill Compound. It is. More conversation.
94.3. This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
Well, all wildlife photographers will tell you what's life without a little bit of risk. And you've had a fair share of risk. You actually thrown out of Kaziranga, was it?
Yeah, well, that's a...
Pray tell all.
Yeah, that's an interesting story. So, first of all, to shoot wildlife, you have to have really good long lenses, zoom lenses. I don't. So, I have a very simple 24-70 lens, which means if I want to shoot anything, I have to get real close. So, I think it was in 2014 or so when I decided to go to Arunachal and Assam to Kaziranga for about 7-8 day photography jaunt on my own. And it was bitterly cold. It was I think the 1st of January or something like that. And when I shot like crazy, traveled like crazy. The last day I was sitting in my tent and thinking it's all done. And I asked my guide driver, anything left out? And he said, yeah, I can take you to an orchid park. I said, no, I don't want to see orchids. Then he said, what about cultural dance? I said, no, not my scene either. He said, then we've done it all. But there's one place that nobody goes to. So I said, let's go now. 5 minutes there. I said, tell me about it in the car. Just let's go. So he took me to this beautiful place in the park where the elephants come to have a bath. There's a river there. And elephants love water. So they bathe in the river. And then when they come out, now, by that time, it's about 6 o'clock in the evening and it's roughly about 6 or 7 degrees. Even elephants feel the chill. So the mahouts light small fires in the fields and the elephants go and stand there and they feed and they enjoy the smoke from the fires and they kind of warm up from the cold water which they've had a bath in. So I was so taken in by the sight, but the light had practically gone and it was past visitors' timings and the guide said, we have to leave. I said, you can leave, I'm not going anywhere. And so he said, be careful, don't. And I'm very respectful of animals and the privacy that they should be given. So I just crept up as much as I could, as close as I thought was safe. It was very cold and it was also, in Kaziranga, the ground is very slushy. So it's almost like you're in a bog kind of environment. And I shot these elephants there, and it was actually a very moving experience, to see them like that, very calm, quiet, eating, enjoying the smoke. And then a few minutes later, a ranger came on a cycle and spotted me and was extremely irritated and evicted me immediately. But I think I got what I wanted. So
correct. And there's also a nice one which is like an elephant sauna.
Yeah, so that's the.
They love their water.
Yeah, that's the one that where the baby's having a bath. Yeah. The calf is having a bath, and then a few minutes later they're all out warming up.
There's a posing pony. There are some Bhutanese horses, a white horse, and of course the sparring stallions that you call them.
Yeah.
So the horse or the pony or the mare series.
So the entire horse series is shot in Bhutan at Tiger's Nest, which is a climb which you can do in Paro. It's a very, very beautiful place, and my wife and I had visited there and we did the climb up. It takes about 4 hours 3 to 4 hours to climb up. But when we reached the base of the climb, that area was so beautiful and serene that I told my wife we have to come back tomorrow morning just to do some photography here, So we did the climb, came back, passed out that day because it was really tiring. And the next morning we went back and I shot these horses there. And the sparring stallions is basically two horses aggressively. Yeah. I mean, they look like they're virtually fighting for supremacy or something. And it was interesting to capture that because I was actually focusing completely in the opposite direction. And the sun was coming out, whereas the horses were behind me in a very shady area. And I heard this commotion and I turned around and I saw them. And the first thing that struck me is that I'm never going to get this because the camera was set to for a different light totally. So I was furiously working the lens and shooting as quick as I could. And I got 6 shots off, out of which 5 were unusable, but then you only need that one. And I'm very happy that one came across. So that's part of the exhibition as well.
Messages and back. Mark Anthony, I need to know. We're streaming audio online all over the nation. www.onecast.i and numeral 1cast.i, 94.3 on the FM and on your radio sets right here in Mumbai City. Only if you're not driving. Statutory warning if you're in the backseat of a radio taxi, a chauffeur-driven car, at home, work, you want to stream some Facebook Live video, it's facebook.com/HRISHIKAY. Zubin Balaporia, keyboard maestro, composer, band member, Indus Creed is in the studio. It is a wonderful photography exhibition, Blessed by the Light, at the Baro in Lower Parel, Sunmill Compound. It goes up till the 14th. So you've got 5 full days to go to, and it features photographs from his trips to the Amazon, Siberia, Ladakh, Bhutan, Laos, Cambodia. More conversation.
94.3. This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
Well, thanks to this interview, I've found out stuff about the Amazonian ecosystem that I didn't know about.
My pleasure.
It is 55 million years old.
Yeah,
My God.
Yes, absolutely amazing place.
Yeah, and tell me about the kind of wildlife, just the ecosystem that you found there.
So the Amazon was a very, very interesting trip. And I mean, I look at the photographs now, many years later, and I just want to just go back there. It's just an absolutely fantastic environment. And so in 2014, I'd gone with a group of friends to see the Football World Cup in Brazil. So we have an interesting gang called the Jolly Volley Club, which is a
Pray why?
which is a group of sporty buddies that plays volleyball every Thursday for the last 30 years at Breach Candy. Come what may, whatever happens. No girlfriend's birthday, no wife's birthday, no anniversaries tolerated on Thursday evenings. So we had gone for the World Cup, and then after that, I decided to hook off on my own to the Amazon, and I had to choose the kind of expedition I wanted to do, because I didn't want to do a Nat Geo tugboat exhibition, because I wasn't sure I was ready for that. I didn't want to do a luxury liner kind of thing either. So I picked a very nice, safe boat, and it was really good. It was like trial by fire, because we got onto the boat day 1, and in the evening at 7 o'clock they take you out in a canoe where you can get right into the backwaters. And the lady in front of me, British couple, within 5 minutes of going there, and it's pitch black, you can't see your hand in front of you.
Wow.
Except the guide has a spotlight right in the front. The lady in front of me screams loudly, and we almost all fell off the boat, and she'd been stung by a wasp on her neck. And luckily it wasn't anything dangerous, but the guide himself, because he had a light, and the lights obviously attract wasps, he got stung really badly on his hand. And the next morning for the next expedition, when we were leaving around 5:30, he showed me his hand, and it was the color of a beetroot, and it had swollen about 1.5 times. So I said, what are you going to do about this? So he said, no, when we reach the Indian reservation where we're going to, there'll be a doctor there, and I'll need to take a sort of anti-allergy shot for this. So this is a guy who's been in the Amazon for the last 25 years. So I asked him, what's the worst that's happened to you? So he said, I'm like the guinea pig for the center of disease control back in Manaus. And because everything that needs to be bitten or stung or whatever has happened to me. So I said, so what's the worst? So he said, well, about a year ago, I'd gone somewhere and I was walking, and the guys with me suddenly stopped, and there was a large frog in the middle of the path. And I don't know why they were so scared. So I said, what's the problem? It's just a frog. And he wasn't moving. So I went up to the frog, and with my leg, I just gave him a little nudge, and he kind of bounded off and disappeared. And he says 2 days later, when I came back, my leg started really itching, and then it started, exploding virtually. It turned red. It looked like a bad sore. So I went, of course, to the hospital where I normally go, and they looked at me and said, now what have you done? Because we've never seen anything like this. And by that time, he said there was virtually like a hole, like virtually someone had drilled a hole into his foot.
Ouch.
So the guy, the doctor said, what area, where were you? And then he said, anything to do with frogs. And he said, there was this large frog. So they pulled up these frogs actually on a display. And he said, which one? And he pointed it out. And he said, okay, I know what's happened to you. So the defense mechanism for this frog is to basically to urinate on you. And the urine is like toxic acid.
Acid squirting frogs.
Yeah.
I'd be damned.
So it had
My
virtually, sort of eaten into his muscle, his not his bone, but his muscle, cartilage, whatever there is in the foot, and it had gone really deep. And they had to obviously operate. And he said, I don't even know how to stitch this up because it's not a cut; it's like a hole. So he said 6 months he was in hospital and crazy fever. And he said, next time I see frog, I stay very far.
I can
it."
imagine.
Yeah.
But the pictures, however, are very tranquil. They are tranquil Amazonian trees.
So that's what I've written in the little booklet, so lovely, beautifully designed by my friend Yvonne. And in that, I've written that despite these adventures, of course, the frog was not my adventures, but there was an adventure with a very large female tarantula. And there were some crocodiles, of course, a baby python, some very, very dangerous ants. So that's another thing the guide told me, is that the most dangerous thing in the Amazon is ants.
Wow.
125,000 variants of ants, which can just bite you and cause a minor itch to send you in a 7-day coma straight back to the hospital. So, yeah, so there were so many interesting things to see there, but that place is so beautifully calm and serene, and you can just sit there and enjoy the jungle, just enjoy the moment, and that's, I think, what I took back. The river, the beautiful peace and calm of that's what stuck in my memory more than alligators and caimans.
Kelly Clarkson, since you've been gone, a last leg of conversation with Zubin Balaporia up ahead. Kelly Clarkson, since you've been gone, Zubin Balaporia is here, keyboardist, full-time member of Indus Creed, formerly Rock Machine, a man whose composition skills have been lauded by the industry, veterans as well as newbies, and this is Blessed by the Light, his photography exhibition at Baro, Sunmill Compound, Lower Perel. It's on till the 14th, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Timings, the last leg of conversation.
94.3. This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishi K.
Two stunning portraits, black and white portraits of a mother and daughter, a mother and son. I have to find out the experience behind those two captures.
Yeah, so that's actually a very interesting story, Rishi. Last year, I had gone to Ladakh for about 14 days. And I have to say that I thought Arunachal was the most beautiful place on the planet. But I think after seeing Ladakh, I have to change my opinion. It's just one notch even above. But while doing some research on it, I came upon a very interesting story about these villages. I think the names of the village are Da and Hanu. And the inhabitants of these villages are supposed to be direct descendants of Alexander the Great's army.
Wow.
And so I was very, very curious to go there, talk to them, take some photographs. But it was an 11-hour drive from Leh. But we decided to do it. We left very early morning and got lost at least 4 or 5 times. Finally, around 5:30, 6 in the evening or something, or later than that, we reached and we found the place, and we had to climb up a small hill. And I came upon this family there. And they're so unusual looking. They don't look Indian. They don't look Ladakhi either. They're very, very fair. Some of them are blonde. They have green eyes, orange eyes. And they don't speak Ladakhi. They have their own language, which nobody understands. And they speak a little bit of Hindi, so you can sort of converse with them. And I saw this mother there with her son, and another mother sitting in the corner with a very small baby daughter. And I asked their permission if I could take a photograph of them, and they were okay about it. And I think those photographs came out really, really nicely because I've shot them in black and white, and it kind of brings across that moment back the way it was when I saw it. So I'm kind of proud of those two, yeah.
And you have a love affair with Paris. I mean, wonderful images of Paris, not only at the Notre Dame, but a Parisian sidewalk, a cafe. And you've been doing a bit of shooting in Eastern Europe too, in Estonia, in a church. So your parting thoughts on your indoor series.
Yeah, so the Estonia church one is nice because there was a lovely large window, and there's a tree outside the window which seems to be almost bowing in prayer to what's happening inside the church. So I thought that made for an interesting composition. Paris was also great because I'd been shooting there for about 4 or 5 days. And again, I think good things happened to me on the last day of trips. And I'd completely wound down, had a shower, got into bed, and then I was about to sleep. Next morning, flying back to Bombay, and I said, I'm in Paris, there's one more night and I'm going to sleep. No. So I got out, got my clothes up. My wife is looking at me like, what the hell are you doing? It's 11 in the night. I said, no, I got to go back, one last trip. So I went out, walked around a little bit, and 10 minutes later, I just stumbled upon this beautiful avenue, which is so Paris. So I took the shot, and I've called that quintessential Paris.
And you travel light, don't you? I mean, it's just a lens and your camera.
Yeah, well, you know, it's when you're doing the kind of photography I'm doing, which is sort of uncontrolled environment, you don't have too much time to mess around. So I've tried to keep it simple, just one lens, one camera. Obviously, I'd love to have another camera, love to have wide, longer lens, whatever. But I suppose that'll come in time. But it's a hassle to carry, you know. It's a hassle to carry, and then you're sort of spending more time fiddling around than looking to take the shot. So
Zubin B3 on Instagram, Zubin B3. So you might want to go check out some pictures. There's also a website, Zubin. Just give it out, please.
Yeah, it's just Zubin Balaporia photography.com.
Zubin Balaporia photography.com. He's at the Baro, Sunmill Compound, Lower Parel. Please go till the 14th. Quick thank yous before we say bye.
Thank you, Hrishi. First, thank you for having me here. Then I'd like to thank my friend Shubir Chatterjee. He's the guy who's really got me into photography, and most of what I've learned is really from him. So big thanks to you, Shubir. My wife Tanu, always supporting me, encouraging me, giving me the option to shoot something 200 times and stand by patiently. And also Charu. Charu's been sort of principal in pushing me into doing this exhibition. So I'm grateful to her. And my whole family who's helping out. You know, my sons are editing videos. My mom is editing the book. So everybody's helped. And finally, of course, Srila at Baro, without whose help I really couldn't have done this. She's brought in a sense of design to the whole thing, which I really appreciate.
Cheers,
so thank
buddy.
you, guys.
Cheers. Messages and back.
94.3.
Upgrade to India's #1 international radio network. Upgrade to 94.3 Radio 1.